To quickly kind of put a bow at the end of this game, to want to bring up a couple of names. Like, did you have a 3-2-1 of this game? Do you have any players that you kind of had man of the match in that? Who have you got as 3-2-1?
Yeah, we did this after the game. So we had Lukey obviously as the three or like three
Yeah,
points to Lukey. I just thought that coming of age game for him, the best he's probably played, and not just. And Ace mentioned this as well, not just the running game and the passing game and the deception, but a great kicking game as well. On the night to
agreed.
get us out of trouble and put them in, start them in tougher positions. So yeah, Lukey with the three. I think we gave the two. Funnily enough, I think we gave it to Kurt Capewell. And it
Mm.
sounds sort of funny, but like just some of the tackles, some of the moments, some of the big moments of the game, he was there. And
Yep.
obviously, he did some good runs with the ball too, and set up the try with Lukey. So I think we gave it to Kurt, and then I think the number one was just like put him there every single week, Aaron Clark. You think he ran for like 180 meters and played 70 odd minutes and made 38 tackles with no misses. So I mean, that guy's just been
Uh,
an absolute revelation. Yeah.
And it's crazy. Like, I love that because there's two of those names that I really did want to bring up right overall, and one of them I'll touch on. Not one of them, Kurt Capewell. I love that one there too because watching it at the game, bro, it looked like he brought his steel shoulders. Like, I know he apparently he missed 10 tackles statistically in that game. But like the work he got in, he chased up really quickly. He's putting some shots on. He caused some
Yeah.
major moments in that game. And if he ended up getting that try saver on Murray Talong, he would have been probably put up in lights. But people don't really recognize some of the stuff he does. But when you go watch Kurt Capewell live, guys, you'll get to see a little bit more of his game. I think when you watch it on TV, you see a lot more of the attacking football side of things. But when you watch it live, you get to see the defensive work a lot of the boys. And Kurt Capewell's everywhere, bro. He can find himself
Yeah.
on the right edge, left edge, in the middle, wherever you need to put him. And he honestly was shotting blokes left, right, and center. Every time that he put a hit on, I was turning to my bro. I was like, "That's Kurt Capewell," and he goes, "Bro, he hasn't looked any like he's looking better than what he was at the Broncos." I was like, "Well, Warriors fans didn't want him at one point there, but like he's
Yeah.
been incredible. Like he's been really, really good." But the two names I did want to touch on. First of all, I touch on Aaron Clark being your 1 pointer there, but this season in general, this will kind of move on to your opinions at the start of the season and that, but. This season, bro, he has been such a find, like such a buy. I remember I heard an early little insider, right? Got the ear to the ground, bro. The birdies singing. Aaron Clark. I met his barber at a Gold Coast Titans, the 66-6 Gold Coast Titans game. We're walking
Yes.
back, obviously disappointed. Two Warriors fans talking, and it was Aaron Clark's barber. And I was like, bro, get Aaron Clark to the Warriors. We want him at the Warriors. And he goes, bro, I'll be honest with you. He's talking like he wants to come home. And I was like, all right, we'll see what happens. Just thinking it's just normal chat, bro. And then when I saw the signing, I was like, oh, that barber must have got in his ear real good. And thank God he did, bro, because he's been
Yeah.
incredible for us this season.
I think you might have maybe you talking to the barber, maybe instigated the whole thing. Oh, mate, like yeah, just incredible. And he's a guy who, um, I think the only reason you haven't seen that side of Aaron Clark is simply through opportunity. It's not like he was a terrible player at another club and he's sort of he's become a good player. Like, it was just opportunity, and we had him on running it straight last week or the week before. I think it was last week actually, and he talked about like Isaac. We said, who's someone who's really inspired you or someone that you've sort of learnt a lot of, and I think he was talking about Isaac Liu, and he said, I learnt so much off him, but I could never put it into practice because I wasn't getting the opportunities, and I just had
Yeah.
so much like growth and learning that I did. And he said, now that I'm able to do it, like it's working, like I'm getting the fruits of all that hard work that I put in. And so, yeah, to me, it's just a total opportunity thing. Once he was given a chance, and he's talked about, repaying Webby and repaying the faith and that sort of thing. But, he's just got some aspects of his game that are super unique, like just the power of the legs and the ability. And I know, Levon sort of analysed this, I think, last week.
Mm.
The ability to like he bumps off a tackler, he's does a couple of spins and turns, and then the next step is explosive as well. Which anyone who even just does a workout at the gym knows that it's all well and good, sort of doing the first big movement or the second big movement, but to sort of like then continue and do another one. With all that power, that's where he gets that extra step and the extra 10 meters and the extra tackle break and bending the line. It's and then the 38 tackles with no mister. At least that's the stat line I saw straight after the game. Like that's for playing 70 minutes and all that attack coming at them was amazing. So man, I've got a massive man crush on Aaron Clark. He's an absolute G.
He is, bro. I'll probably be right there with you, bro. He's honestly been such a good buy for us, and in a period that a lot of people obviously coming in, and like we all agree, right? I put my hands up. I said this is, and I still kind of agree with this is a transition period. This is a period where we shouldn't be looking at, if we get top 4, incredible, premiership, like incredible, right? But we should be looking at, this is where the club's building, right? And where we're getting to that top 8. Hopefully we can build off of that in the years. And guys like this coming over and filling in the shoes of Tohu Harris. He's not Tohu Harris, but he's doing Aaron Clark. And Aaron Clark is amazing for us. And just as Tohu was amazing for us before. Everyone was talking about, AFB leaving. How are we going to fill those numbers of what AFB brought? And this guy's doing that as well. Not as big as AFB, but everyone else is contributing in that area. But he's still pushing out like 180 meters per game, 50 post-contact meters per game. Like he's doing his numbers too. He's doing his fair due. So like shout out to those guys for filling in all those roles. And talking about filling in a very special, very big role in New Zealand Warriors, Luke Metcalfe is your number 3. Like, I completely agree with you. Coming of age moment. He had a great game against the Manly Seagulls. That was off the back of a lot of different things. But this is probably the best way he's kind of put the game together, where he's had some really good control over the game, but he ended up playing a little bit more footy. And like he kind of like let his running game go, right? And the support play that he has. Your thoughts of like, Luke Metcalfe at the moment where you're sitting with like him in that 7 jersey, you're feeling a little bit more comfortable him being in that 7 jersey at the moment, and where can he kind of go to, obviously, what more little areas you want to see from Luke Metcalfe in the future, and even tie us into Shanaris Davida, who I think that's been an unsung hero as well. I think he's been incredible as well, right?
Yeah, I was gutted I didn't have Luke in my fantasy team.
Same.
For you guys, that I've been keeping my eye on him. I sort of felt like he was going to start scoring well, but didn't pull the trigger. Really interesting discussion I had with a mate of mine who's very, very close to the club, who was at an event and sort of Chatham House rules, so I won't sort of say too much, but basically the reason why they've put Chanel and Luke in the halves together, and the reason why they're persisting with it, and I think it's great when you look at it this way. They're looking at a team in 3, 4, 5 years' time that can win a premiership, right?
Agreed.
And to them, the ceiling for Chanel Harris-Tavita and Luke Metcalfe is a lot higher than some of the other halves they've got. We'll talk about Tamati Man, you want to talk about Tanner Boyd. The ceiling for Chanel and Luke is a lot higher than it is for those players, and I 100% agree with that. Whether or not you're seeing it now or you believe that now, that's up to you. But we all know when these guys play their best, their ceiling is sky high. So that's why they're persisting with them. I'm glad they did, because it's starting to now click together. And what Chanel, I think, brings defensively really complements, the style of half that he is. And me and Aish always talk about it. Me and Jello always talk about having a left foot kicker and a right foot kicker, so you can play both sides of the field. And Aish talks about this too. He says you don't underestimate how hard it is for a defense when there's a left-footed kicker on the left side. When he gets the ball, you can't, if it's a right foot kicker, you can push up quickly on them, knowing that you can cut from the inside and you can cut that kick off. When it's a left foot kicker, you don't know what he's going to do. Is he going to run it? Is he going to kick it? So it defensively causes a lot of headaches. But in terms of Lukey, like you nail on the head there in the fact of he, rather than the last couple of weeks where he's been sort of trying to grow into a game manager role, he's trying to balance that with his natural game. It's like he just let the shackles off and just let his brain not go, because he's still thinking a lot about the game, but he just sort of see what's in front of him and he just played it, which that's what Luke Metcalfe has to do. There are areas of his game he still has to refine. Like his kicking game is getting better, but it still needs work. I think as well he's still learning, probably, like Nathan Cleary is one of the best at just knowing when to just take on the line, the teeth of the line, knowing when to play out the back, knowing when to throw a short ball. It's like Luke's just sort of learning through experience, he's learning what's working and what doesn't work and when to do it in game situations, and how to do that more effectively. So it's nothing necessarily deficient in his game. It's just the fact that he's a young half that's still trying to develop and grow into the role, because I think all the pieces are there. It's just, can he keep it going? Can he keep it growing? And can he make it more consistent? And it'll only take one, and you know this better than, just as well as I do. It'll take one crap game, say it's this weekend against the Dragons, for everyone to jump off the bandwagon and say,
100%.
he's, this is the youth, this is the inexperience, this is, it's like, well, that's probably what you're going to get with a guy that's, developing into a full-time 7 role for the first time in his career in the shoes of Sean Johnson. So at the moment, he's, in my mind, you were talking about this being a transition period and, being happy with being on the edge of the 8, given the guys that we're bringing through. It's like we should just be like, it's exceeded expectations so far.
Oh yeah.
And so is Lukey. So I'm massive on Lukey. I hope, or it sort of seems like the injury concerns he had early on in his career have abated for now, and I really hope that continues, because that would be a real derailer at this point of the season, is for someone like him to pull a hammy or do something that rules him out for sort of an extended period of time. But I'm stoked with him. I'm stoked with how he's growing and developing. He'll only get better. He'll sort out all those errors in his game, or all those quote unquote deficiencies will get ironed out, I think, as time goes on.
Yep.
And loving the combo as well with Chanel. So
unreal,
happy days.
Unreal. Also, we're getting fairly close to your time too, bro. So if you feel free any good time you want to sub off, just put your hand up and tell you want to sub off. But my sort of look for Luke Metcalfe, right? I think I've spoken to you about this before. I know that the guy I'm going to talk about, he hasn't got the boot of this guy, but he resembles this guy and how the trajectory could go if we just continue to stick with it and continue to work with it. And that's Mitchell Moses. The Parramatta Eels have been working at this for a long time. Mitchell came from the West Tigers as a 6, and he came over to the Parramatta Eels because he wanted to become a 7, right? He had a lot of 7 tendencies, 100%, but Luke Metcalfe, when he came through the system, he came through as a 7. He always wanted to be a 7. You always heard about that. And even me, I was oblivious to this as well, where every time he kept bringing up being a 7, I was like, nah, brother, you're the best 6 you can be. Just be a 6. But when you start looking at the tram line of how Mitchell Moses grew at his game and how it got to a point where, from my memory, I'm going to have to go back and watch old school Mitchell Moses tape, but I never knew he had the boot that he did until obviously he started to get really, prolific at it. And now look at where Mitchell Moses is at now. And he's close to 30 years old. He's in the prime of his career. You're starting to see that all that work he got through before, and heavily criticized as well. A lot of people he's not a 7, he's not a good 7. Everyone was pointing that out. Now he's at a point where he ended up beating the Maroons at Suncorp, had one of the biggest high of last year. And you can't take that away from him of how he's grown as a 7 and he's taken over that Parramatta Eels side. That's going very poorly at the moment, but he got into a grand final as well, under pretty much what he was doing there at Parramatta. So he's kind of my resemblance of both of them have incredible speed, incredible ball playing. They love to play off the cuff as well. I see very similarities there. Probably similar to a DC as well. DC, he's a 7, but early in his career, Kieran Foran was doing a lot of the playmaking for DC off the back of that too. So, allow Luke to grow. He'll grow into that role. He'll become the 7 that he wants to be, because number one, the best thing about Luke Metcalfe is he takes the opportunity. He wants the opportunity. And whatever it is, he's always going to ask questions. He always wants to step into the big shoes. And we haven't had a 7 like that in a little while where, the big moments or whatever, whether he gets it wrong or right, he wants that. He's stepping into that and he's vocal about wanting that. And I absolutely adore that about Luke. He's really stepping into the shoes of an absolute legend, and he's doing it in the right way, in my opinion, anyway.
Yeah, no, that was a fantastic analysis and very much very similar to Mitch Moses. And just on the confidence part, Aish, brought up, and I know this is a bit of a concern, it was obviously the goal kicking. I think he kicks at about 60%, which, we need that to improve, but credit to him, I think he missed the first one and then he was straight back in there to take the next one. And it's was it last year or the year before with Chanel where, that he had missed the kick and then it ended up costing the game because just the confidence completely was sucked out of him. But Luke, it's nah, I missed the first one, I'll take the next one, and he ends up sort of getting the next few. So yeah, he's got the confidence there, and it's just going to take time for him to develop into, it's not. I mean, everyone just wants to compare a 7 to Nathan Cleary, or they want to just think that they're going to be the greatest player in the NRL, but. I mean, there were 7s before Nathan Cleary that won the competition. You know what I mean? Yes, I know they won the last 4, but there are other 7s out there. And, they don't win comps every single year, but they're damn good players. So, yeah, I think he will, as much as you can try and predict the future, I think he's got, a massive ceiling and massive potential. And I really do hope that he, stays here for the long term, because that is how the Warriors see it. He is their long-term premiership winning 7. That's certainly what I've been told. So, yeah.
100%. Yeah, give him all that he wants. If he wants to stay, give him everything. Because I know people will be chasing, clubs will be chasing. The market is just gone skyrocket at the moment for halves at the moment. So we definitely need to be locking him down even more, trying to entice him to stay. But I feel like he probably adores that. The Warriors gave him his opportunity. They've really put all their time and effort into him. I feel like there's something a little bit different there. But hopefully, hopefully he doesn't prove me wrong there. But I feel like there's something a little bit different there where he could be our long-term half for the future as